Bonjour chers clients, bonjour chers participants. Merci une fois de plus de répondre présent à cette sixième session des Masterclass by MTN Business. Je tiens à rappeler qu'aujourd'hui, c'est la sixième session de cette Masterclass. C'est une initiative que nous avons démarrée depuis le 24 avril. Et au cours des dernières semaines, nous avons échangé sur les problématiques liées à la mise en place d'un plan de continuité d'activité. Nous avons également discuté au sujet de la mise en place de la relation client, dont notamment comment gérer la relation client en situation de crise. Nous avons également discuté et échangé sur la communication de crise, comment communiquer en interne et également en externe. Nous avons également échangé sur les questions de gestion efficace de la force de vente. Sachant que bien sûr, la crise actuelle, elle touche fortement les entreprises. Et aujourd'hui, il y a beaucoup de questions au sujet au sujet de la gestion des équipes de vente. Donc, pour cette sixième session, nous allons échanger sur une question beaucoup plus différente. C'est une question, en fait, qui concerne finalement le management global et le leadership de l'entreprise. Donc, comment est-ce qu'une entreprise, dans ce contexte, comment est-ce qu'elle réussit à gérer son activité? Comment est-ce qu'elle réussit à gérer ses partenaires? Comment est-ce qu'elle réussit à gérer également son leadership? Donc, nous aurons trois brillants panélistes qui vont échanger sur le sujet.
On the communication aspect during crisis. Today, we're going to look at how you manage your overall business. And that's why MTN Business has brought to you key renowned managers, key renowned CEOs in the country and in the continent to entertain you on or to discuss with you on the topic of how you can manage your business. So we think it's really an historic moment, and we think it's really a good value, should bring good value to you, but also at the Q&A, we'll be able to get some insight from you. So the first panelist is actually MTN, current MTN CEO, Mr. Bodylawson Ebenezer, and sorry, there is some noise. Yes, so he is the one who may give us the opportunity. He's the host of this session. So I will just say hi to Ebenezer, and if you can just to make sure that you can listen to us and greet everybody. Hi, Ebenezer, are you there? You are muted, Ebenezer.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you very much, Frank, and thanks for the initiative. I just want to take this opportunity to welcome all those who have connected and to thank you for continuing the patronizing MTN. You know, these sessions are relevant to you personally and to your business, and will continue to bring things that are relevant. So for the other panelists, I just want to thank you for accepting the invitation to join us in trying to make this occasion what it's supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ebi. Thank you. And again, thank you to host this this important session. So the second panelist is one of the most renowned head of banks in Cameroon and in the sub-region, in the person of Mr. Acha Gordon, who's the CEO of Citi Bank. And I hope he can listen to me. I don't see him in the view. Mr. Acha, good afternoon.
Gerald, good afternoon, and good afternoon to MTN Cameroon. It's a pleasure to be a panelist to this masterclass session this afternoon. I was actually surprised when Ebenezer called me and asked me to be part of it. I'm like, what can I tell MTN? What can Citibank tell MTN? But again, it's like you said, it's a discussion forum. I'm happy to share the little thoughts and ideas that we and basically how we've been able to manage a crisis up to date. And maybe somebody can learn one or two things from what we've done. And also, I'm sure that I'm going to pick up a good number of things from what others have done to definitely help me manage Citi better. So thank you for the opportunity to to be part of this part of this panel. Thank you.
It's us to thank you, Mr. Acha. We know how busy every manager is during these days. It's tough, but you managed to find some time. We'll try to make it as effective as possible so that you can resume your business activities. Et the third panelist, le troisième, c'est un des managers les plus connus dans son activité au Cameroun et dans la sous-région, et même en Afrique, dont en la personne de M. Jean-Yves Kotto, qui est le PDG de INTELCIA, pour ceux qui connaissent INTELCIA, et aussi, en même temps, je crois que Jean-Yves a deux casquettes, il est aussi le chairman d'INTELCIA pour la sous-région Afrique subsaharienne. Bonsoir, bonsoir Jean-Yves.
Bonjour Franck. Je dirais, la première des choses que je dirais aujourd'hui, c'est que je suis très heureux de pouvoir participer à un tel panel. Donc je vous remercie, vous, MTN, toi en particulier, Ebenezer, de m'avoir invité. Je pense que cette session nous permettra ensemble de partager nos différentes expériences par rapport à la crise que nous vivons à l'heure actuelle. Et fort de cela, je pense que chacun de nous en tirera des conclusions plutôt positives. Et je pense que les différents participants également pourront échanger avec nous et nous leur ferons part de nos différentes expériences durant cette crise Covid-19. Encore merci. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very pleased to be part of it. And it's really a pleasure for INTELCIA to be among you in order to give you some input on what was set up within all our subsidiaries around the world. As you know, INTELCIA is an international group with premises in the United States, in Africa, in Europe. So I'm really pleased to represent INTELCIA today.
Merci Jean-Yves, c'est nous qui sommes honorés de ta présence et je vais directement, on va entrer dans le vif du sujet. Je vais commencer en donnant la parole à notre host. I will start with you, Ebenezer. Please, first of all, just let's say to discuss the topic of today, what's your reading of the current crisis, Ebenezer?
Thank you, Frank. You know, the current epidemic, the first thing that comes to mind is uncertainty. You know, we're in a period where we don't know when it's going to end, and this uncertainty brings to mind a lot of turbulence in terms of what to do. You know, is it going to be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months? And this keeps you awake all the time because it triggers in different scenarios that you need to address in terms of managing the business. So the thing that comes to mind with this is the uncertainty, particularly when things become medical. The safety of your staff, you know, is very paramount because those are the most important people. So day in, day out, you're thinking of ensuring that people are safe, ensuring that the premises, the offices, the ones who work with the front line to customers, they are safe. And that's what preoccupies us most, aside from looking at the business to ensure that the business survives after this period. I think the safety of our staff is the paramount one.
Yes. Thanks, Ebi. The uncertainty is really one of the theme that comes out of a lot of readings around this. Let me give the floor to Mr. Gordon. Mr. Acha, your reading, how do you see it? Is it the same like Ebi, uncertainty, or any additional view on how do you see this crisis?
Oh, definitely. I think from my perspective, obviously uncertainty is key here. I think this thing caught all of us by surprise, right? It was actually unexpected. It was sudden. A lot of us were blindsided. It's a health crisis, like Ebenezer just said, is a pandemic that actually has turned into an economic crisis. from the onset, it was very difficult for any of us to put our finger on it. It was something that none of us, I think, have actually managed. And I've actually been in a good number of crisis situations, and but this one was slightly different. And the difference here is that, I mean, when you manage crisis, usually it's confined, it's specific, but this one is slightly different. It's global, right? It affects everybody. It started in China, spread very fast into Europe, and ultimately to the US. It came down and ultimately back to Latin America. So everybody's affected, everybody's touched, and there is absolutely no cure at this particular point. When are we going to get over it? Nobody knows. Again, if we put ourselves in the context of Cameroon, the bigger question here is how do you even plan for tomorrow? How do you plan for 6 months, for 9 months, for 1 year down the line? I think at this particular point, like Yves said, I think my biggest priority here today is how do I make sure that my people are safe? How do I make sure that I keep my people safe and healthy through this period? We know that ultimately our medical systems, our healthcare systems are not necessarily the best. So we're doing everything to make sure that we prevent our people from getting to anywhere close to these places. Hopefully, keeping them healthy and safe. So this, again, like it's uncertain. It's global. And the future really is anybody's guess at this particular point in time.
Yes, is actually, I mean, in other words, you added to uncertainty the fact that it's global, and again, priority, having people safe, but also this an ability for business to be able to forecast, to see where does it stop, when will it end, and so on. So I mean, it's actually what we see also. Jean-Yves, je ne sais pas si c'est la même lecture que tu as. Comment tu vois, de ton point de vue, comment on peut lire cette crise?
Alors, mon point de vue rejoint celui des deux panélistes précédents, mais je pense qu'aujourd'hui, il faut comprendre une chose, c'est que la plupart des entreprises et des dirigeants d'entreprises ont vécu un choc brutal. C'était quelque chose d'inattendu. La pandémie aujourd'hui est mondiale, personne n'aurait pensé cela, et pas mal d'entreprises aujourd'hui sont pratiquement démunies par rapport à cette crise. Donc, moi je pense aussi que, outre les nombreux obstacles techniques à la généralisation, par exemple, du télétravail, qui peut nous assurer la continuité de service pour non seulement les OIV, les opérateurs vitales, comme les telcos d'ailleurs, comme vous, ou les banques, les assurances, etc. La vraie question aujourd'hui que l'on doit se poser, c'est comment s'adapter ou changer notre manière de travailler aujourd'hui. Donc, ce n'est pas uniquement faire face à la crise Covid-19, qui est une crise d'envergure, qui est probablement, si on s'en tient aux différents discours des scientifiques, qui est probablement passagère, mais cela toujours dans l'incertitude. Mais aujourd'hui, on a besoin de réfléchir à comment réinventer nos organisations et les faire à l'image du monde d'aujourd'hui et de demain. Les choses bougent, on doit faire preuve de réactivité, parfois de proactivité surtout, pour prévenir ce genre d'événements. Je pense que personne n'était véritablement préparé à cela, mais je dis et je pense que cette crise est également une opportunité pour nous aider à repenser notre environnement de travail, et je pense que les choses évolueront dans le bon sens. Et il faut considérer cette crise comme étant quelque chose d'extrêmement, comment dire, pénalisant pour l'ensemble du secteur économique, mais c'est également une opportunité pour réfléchir à comment est-ce qu'on va travailler demain. Voilà ce que je peux dire.
Oui, je crois, comme on dit souvent, you are spot on. In addition to uncertainty, seeing an ability to forecast the struggling time coming ahead, even the current times, also opportunity to adapt And to go through the current crisis, il faut s'adapter, il faut se réinventer. C'est aussi un monde d'opportunités. Et ça me permet d'embrayer justement sur, OK, on est dans un moment incertain. On ne sait pas comment ça va se passer demain. On est en plein milieu de la crise, on rencontre des difficultés. C'était un choc. Mais en pratique, je veux dire, vous êtes, là on a un panel, vous êtes 3 secteurs peut-être proches mais différents. Comment la crise, comment vous l'avez gérée, comment vous la gérez, c'est-à-dire au quotidien. If I start with Ebenezer, it's true I'm from MTN, but I'm not in his position. So from your position, Ebe, as overseeing this whole big business that, for example, MTN is, how do you manage the crisis, all these aspects, all this complexity, with all what we just said in terms of uncertainty, how to adapt and everything. So, Ebenezer, any sharing you can give to the participants?
I think like most other companies, this falls within your crisis and committee. So we set up a crisis committee which meets regularly twice a week to be able to really monitor things and be able to take good decisions, which is made up of the EXCO. And over and above that, the very first thing you look at is to look at your staff. In March, when the decision was taken, we wrote to all our suppliers to understand, for example, the suppliers, what are they putting in place to ensure that if they have to come into our offices, they are safe, they're not going to endanger staff. Thereafter, we put a ban on having third parties coming into our office. Looking at this, as the crisis worsens, we start restricting staff, encouraging teleworking, allowing only essential staff to come into the office. This is all about ensuring that we keep the staff safe. But again, we still have staff who meet the clients, like the ones who are working in the service centers. We put in steps in service centers to create safety, where we brought surgical masks. We have taking temperature, using sanitizers, and as well maintaining social distancing, not allowing everybody to come into the service center. So it was no longer business as usual, and we had to adapt with the prevailing circumstances we have to ensure that our customers are safe and our staff in the front line also are safe. Then on the business itself, we had to do a reforecast. I mean, you can't operate in the same level of what you've done in the budget, because these are, as we all said, we're not prepared for it. So all the assumptions you did in doing your business plan, all of them are just out of the way. So you need to redo a reforecast. We did that, cut down on expenses, reduce your CapEx investments. Uncertainty brings the fear to say, look, I need to prop up my cash. I need to make sure I strengthen my balance sheet. I need to make sure this business is streamlined, to make sure you only focus on things you can control. So it's no longer the time for you to spend when it's not necessary. It's only the necessary thing to do. You freeze headcount. You try to renegotiate contracts, fixed contracts, to put them in variable way. So all in the bid to ensure that you're going to live this crisis, no matter how long it lasts, the company will survive. And the only way the company can survive is to continue to adapt to the changing times. Again, as some speakers said, it creates opportunities also, particularly in the data space. You see companies, as teleworking becomes paramount, particularly when the government brought in some limited restrictions. Most companies start working from home, the demand for data. Then you need to focus on the resilience of your network. So your investment is to ensure that your network can be able to meet the increased traffic on data and that sort of. So overall, you look at your people, you look at your processes, you look at your supply chain, which is seriously impacted. And because it's a global crisis, you need to start saying, look, how am I going to ensure that I have enough space? Because not knowing when this crisis is going to end, you need to look at your space to ensure that at least your business can still continue in the event this thing worsens more than what it is. So you're getting a program to bring in space. In a nutshell, what we've done in the business is to look at the people side, to look at the processes, to align it to the current situation, and to ensure that at least the network and the continuity of the business continues, while continuously monitoring. The beauty with this whole thing is that, look, when we did it in March, we were doing our reforecasting. We thought that probably by June, July, this thing is ending. We are doing another reforecast now to say, look, maybe this thing, you're pushing it further to December. So you realize that you just need to continuously adapt, because the crisis, different studies says that they've not got to the peak. There's going to be a second wave. So it's just something which at different times is continuously reevaluated. And I said the crisis committee continuously to monitor. Over and above that, what we've done to our staff is the fact that teleworking comes with its own issue. There are structural difficulties in Cameroon, electricity issues. In the offices, we have a generator, we have continuous service. So for the essential staff, what we've done as a business, we try to pre-finance some household solar panels to ensure that at least there will be business continuity in their home. They will not be impacted by this. Then in terms of health, we ensure that the staff, we have 2 doctors that are available. We brought in psychologists, because you understand some of the problems in this is the fact that depression, people think a lot, all sorts of permutations goes into one's head. So we had psychologists, so people have a hotline, they can call the psychologist to talk to them. We've done different sessions, online sessions, making available doctors and psychologists that can really address some of their concerns of people, And I think that's, from the feedback, people are happy about some of those initiatives, because it clarifies some of the burning issues people have in their mind. And again, we'll continue to monitor. But what I can say, during this period, it's about strong leadership, because you need to take some tough decisions. And taking tough decisions, for example, you need to reduce some of the temporal staff. You need to reduce, for example, drivers, because limited movement. But those are things you're doing, but they are the tough times. And sad as it is, we are not doing it because we like. We are doing it because, they say it's better safe than sorry. You need to look at the bigger picture of the business and to adapt to the reality of what we are having today. So that's what I can say in a nutshell, what we're doing, and we'll continue to monitor. But again, strong leadership that myself and the rest of the EXCO and the rest of MTNers, we're in different areas of work we've been putting in place to ensure that the business thrives during this period and succeeds thereafter.
Wow, thanks, Ebi. That's, as I said, I'm maybe working in MTN, but I did not have that big picture. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You said staff, you look at the staff, you had to review the processes, set up the crisis committee, then you even went to the tough side of all this. I mean, at the point of time, you need to take some tough decision that maybe the company can no more. You had to take some tough decision related to some resources, maybe that for temporary period or whatever you need to put on hold. So, I mean, that's also part of how to manage a crisis. I assume for Gordon is certainly the same type of approach, but maybe with specifics related to the sector, to the bank sector, and the fact that I know Citi is international. They work as a really unified group. So, how did it go in Citi for you, Gordon? How did you manage?
Thanks, Jared. I think each crisis is different, right? And it requires one to be pragmatic. It requires one to be adaptable. It requires that we are quick on our feet and rapid in our decision making, despite the fact that you may not have all the information that you require. Basically, at Citi, we operate in over 100 countries, as you've mentioned, Jared, and we have about 200,000 people in 100 countries. However, despite that size, we are still able to move very fast when it comes to management of crisis and organizing ourselves to ensure that that the bank is actually saved or protected during these tough times. For Cameroon specifically, I think like MTN, some of the first things that we did was we immediately set up a crisis. We have a crisis management team that is on standby. We reactivated the crisis management team. We looked at and the function of the crisis management team is to take into account the context of the environment that you're working in. Make sure that you are actually looking at what is going on, and you are bringing that back into the bank, and making sure that you are in your decision-making process. You are taking all of that into consideration. Obviously, in this case, it was a health crisis. The big question is, how do you make sure that your people don't get it, right? So our focus really was, how do we make sure that we I think almost the same things that Ebenezer just went through. How do we make sure that we had the necessary tools to ensure that our people were not infected? The sanitizing elements. How do we make sure that our offices are cleaned on a fairly regular basis? How do we make sure that people and their families are actually protected? The mask and the social distance, and so on and so forth. So we went through all that element. So our crisis management team actually meets. Initially, when it started, we were meeting on a daily basis, but we actually dropped it down to 2 days. Now we actually meet once a week now. And I actually also hold a virtual town hall with all my staff, because at the moment, I have about 30% of my people working in the office because they are site dependent. They need to continue to operate in the office, and about 70% of the staff working from home. So every week, I need to make sure that there is that connection, that connectivity between myself, the people in the office, and the people at home. So I do a virtual town hall where we try and tie in the loose ends and make sure that we are all on the same page. I'll tell you, one of the last town hall that I had, one of the biggest concerns that parents had. I know Yves talked about MTN putting a psychologist in place for MTN, but one of the bigger questions that a lot of the parents had for us the other day was for parents with kids who were in final year class, kids going back to school. Nobody was comfortable with that idea. So we spent about an hour, talked to doctors, talked to schools, and again, at the end of the day, I being one of those parents, were still not comfortable sending my kid back to school. So again, the whole element in there is to make sure that we create that environment where we can talk to each other, we can try and support each other through the thick and thin of the situation. Then, being a bank, being a financial institution, one of my key roles that I play is to make sure that, number one, from a stakeholder point, from a client point of view, I manage your money properly. I have a lot of MTN's money sitting in my book, so I need to make sure that when MTN wants its money, it can get it.
For sure.
That's number one. And then number two, I also need to make sure that, because I report into a regulator, I need to make sure that all my ratios, all my financial prudential ratios are actually maintained. So again, with a pandemic that is a health crisis that turned into an economic crisis, it became a source of concern for me. With the airlines industry not working, with the initial phase of the crisis, the breweries were not working. So the economy actually, we saw a slight tank in the economy, which meant that liquidity actually dried up in the market. We started being worried there. We actually started holding cash to make sure that we could sustain or sustain basically the prudential ratios that the central bank and the COBAC actually requires from us. But key element in there that we did on that front is we actually went out there and made sure that we were talking to our clients. How do we support them through this phase? How do we make sure that they continue to, again, be able to source raw material, be able to source replacement parts from wherever they need to source those, right? A lot of the things that we did initially when China actually shut down, right? A lot of our customers were like, okay, where do we go? People were branching off from China and going into Turkey, going into Europe. And then obviously we actually saw some people going down to South Africa. How did then being a bank, the question is we did our very best to make sure that these people were helped through that process. So, and then the other thing that was critical that we did, that I think a lot of our stakeholders found very useful, was we actually set up something like this, like the masterclass that you're doing. We actually had a lot of our research people who did a lot of talk for, I don't know, Ibi, if you attended any of them, who did a lot of discussions with a lot of our clients on the consequences and the impact of the COVID. And again, during that process, we saw a significant decline in the price of oil. The impact of and a lot of people were questioning. A lot of people in the Western Central African region, the ECO was a topic of conversation. And with the drop on oil prices in Central Africa, the big topic was devaluation. Are we going to get into devaluation? So a lot of conversation was actually going on during this time, which we actually facilitated with myself and a good number of the people in the research team in London, where we assisted and provided content and information to companies. We also worked a lot with the government, right? With the government, we actually, considering that we're in 100 countries, we actually see a lot that happens. Again, China, it started in Asia. We are in China. There was a lot of case studies that were done on the situation in China, how it was handled. I got that a lot of that content from China, from Italy, from Europe, and I sent that through to the government. I sent it to the Prime Minister's office, to the Presidency, the Minister of Finance, to hopefully help them in their thinking. It was just, listen, this is what I have. If they can help you in your thinking process to maybe put policies in place to facilitate. To enable us not go through the pain that a lot of the other countries were going through, that would be helpful. So we did quite a bit of that, and then obviously, lastly, the question now is how do we support the activities of the government in trying to help people who actually got infected or sick. So Citi Foundation actually has put in about $9 billion towards the pandemic, and hopefully, not hopefully, I know that Cameroon is going to be getting part of that money, and I know that I think a lot of MTN and a lot of other companies have actually contributed towards the pandemic. So Citi has not formally put in any money yet, but it is in the works. We will be making a donation to an organization that should help support the process in the coming weeks.
Okay. Just a time to. Okay. Yes. Thanks, Gordon. I mean, you said. I mean, it sounded when you were speaking. You've covered a lot of aspects, talking of, you have at least, starting from your crisis committees, all what you had to organize internally with the staff, making sure your staff are safe, and then even when this issue which we all face, this discussion around school resuming, I have a daughter, do I send her to school or not? She has to do an exam. How do you manage that even with the school? We know that schools were jumping around. Some of them wanted to start, the others not. I mean, it should be tough from a management perspective to handle that for the whole staff. But one point important, this conversation, as you mentioned, like the one we did, I'm happy to hear that you also had as a manager. It was one of the topic of our first session, I think, where we had our GM customer experience, Marie Rose, discussing about you have to engage your customers, you have to go to them, you have to understand them, you have to see how you can support them during this crisis. And you specifically, I imagine as a bank, you have a lot of, people, their businesses, their lives actually depends on your activities. So you really need to have that customer-centric approach. And then all the rest, as Ebi mentioned, you have to cover otherwise, how do you get through the crisis? How do you keep your customers through the crisis and so on? So I can understand it is tough to manage. Kudos to you. Now, I'm sure, Jean-Yves, je suis sûr que de ce qui a été dit, il y a déjà beaucoup de choses dans lesquelles INTELCIA s'est certainement reconnu, des choses que tu as certainement mis sur pied. Mais INTELCIA a la particularité, je crois, en termes de taille de workforce, c'est immense. Et l'ensemble de vos déploiements sur l'étendue du continent et même au-delà. Donc, et vous devez continuer de servir les clients dans un contexte aussi difficile. C'est pas facile pour le call center. Donc, est-ce qu'il y a des aspects, comment ça s'est passé, comment ça se passe en ce moment et comment tu gères la crise pour le groupe?
Merci Franck. Alors, ce qu'il faut comprendre, c'est qu'on est dans une situation exceptionnelle, donc il y a des mesures exceptionnelles également qui ont été mises sur pied. Les premières des mesures concernent d'abord nos collaborateurs. Comment préserver la santé de nos collaborateurs? C'est la chose essentielle pour nous. Nous avons suivi toutes les instructions qui ont été données par les différents gouvernements des pays dans lesquels nous opérons. Et d'ailleurs, ces mesures reposent sur tout ce qui a été édicté par l'OMS. Je pense à la distanciation sociale, l'utilisation de gel hydroalcoolique, et j'en passe, les prises de température, etc. Pour être plus spécifique, notamment sur ce qui se passe en Afrique subsaharienne, on a mis en place un système mais très rigoureux au niveau du contrôle dès l'entrée sur nos sites. Ça passe par la prise de température, l'utilisation des gels. Nous en avons proposé à nos collaborateurs sur tous les flancs de production. Et on a également fait toute une campagne d'affichage, de sensibilisation auprès de nos collaborateurs pour que ces mesures, justement, barrières, soient non seulement appliquées sur site, mais en dehors du site. Parce que si vous les appliquez uniquement sur le site et que, une fois sorti du site, ce n'est plus appliqué, toute l'efficacité des mesures arrêtées s'en trouve voilà, complètement bafouée par la suite. Et comme je le disais tout à l'heure, la première des choses, c'est la santé des collaborateurs. Parce que sans nos collaborateurs, nous ne produisons pas. Pour vous donner un exemple, hein, sur l'Afrique subsaharienne, c'est un peu plus de 2500 collaborateurs. Sur Douala, sur le site, nous avons à peu près 1200 collaborateurs. À Dakar, il y en a plus de 600, bientôt 1000. Sur Abidjan, la même chose. Donc, c'est passé par quoi? C'est la première des choses que nous avons faites, c'est de nous orienter vers une solution de télétravail, afin d'utiliser une position sur deux sur nos différents sites, et qu'on ait au moins une population de 50%, au moins 50% de notre population en télétravail. C'est une première pour nous tous. Ce n'est pas chose évidente, comme le disait tout à l'heure Ebenezer. On est également dans un écosystème dans lequel toutes les structures, je pense, toutes les infrastructures technologiques ne sont pas toujours présentes chez les uns et les autres. Donc, nous avons fait chez nous, c'est que on a non seulement eu la possibilité d'identifier la plupart des collaborateurs qui bénéficiaient d'un laptop, et on les a mis en télétravail. Et aujourd'hui, sur nos floors, vous avez eu l'occasion d'y passer quelques fois, on a l'impression que c'est complètement désert. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on respecte véritablement les mesures de distanciation qui permettent de préserver la santé de nos collaborateurs. Cela dit, ce déploiement continue. Tout à l'heure, on en parlera sans doute, c'est peut-être une opportunité à venir aussi. Et une des choses les plus importantes pour nous, c'est d'assurer la continuité de service de nos clients donneurs d'ordre. Il n'y a pas d'arrêt de production. Et surtout, de maintenir la rémunération de nos collaborateurs. Aujourd'hui, aucun de nos collaborateurs ne souffre d'une baisse salariale, d'un retard de rémunération. C'est une de nos priorités et on en supporte le total impact financier aujourd'hui. C'était l'un des plus grands défis parce que ces collaborateurs en question ont tellement donné à l'entreprise qu'il nous revient à nous également de les remercier dans le bon sens du terme, c'est-à-dire en assurant, en garantissant leur rémunération tous les mois. Et cela durera pendant toute la crise. C'est un engagement qui a été pris vis-à-vis de nos collaborateurs et nous n'hésiterons pas à continuer à le faire. Aujourd'hui, pour vous donner un ordre d'idée hein, des chiffres en termes de déploiement du télétravail, au niveau du Maghreb et de la France et de l'océan Indien, c'est un peu plus de 9000 collaborateurs que nous avons réussi à mettre en télétravail. Donc, imaginez un peu le travail qu'il y a derrière tout ça. Wow. Sur l'Afrique subsaharienne, c'est pratiquement 1000 personnes qu'on a mises en télétravail. Et pour aller plus loin d'ailleurs, connaissant le niveau de revenus de la population en général au Cameroun, c'est pas tout le monde qui a accès à un PC, à un laptop. Donc, on a mis en place un financement pour nos collaborateurs que nous subventionnons, qui leur permettent d'acquérir un laptop avec un crédit à zéro, étalé sur 12 mois sur certaines régions, sur 15 mois sur d'autres, permettant ainsi justement d'inciter les gens à aller vers le télétravail. Donc, nous ne ménageons aucun effort vis-à-vis de nos collaborateurs et vis-à-vis de nos clients donneurs d'ordre pour assurer la continuité de service. Donc, pour en revenir aux mesures sanitaires, on a également anticipé sur une chose, c'est que les visites annuelles médicales ont été anticipées de manière à être proactif, pas être réactif, mais proactif par rapport à cette pandémie. Donc, ces visites médicales nous permettent de mieux suivre nos collaborateurs pour voir s'il n'y a pas de signes révélateurs par rapport justement au Covid-19. Donc, toutes les mesures médicales également ont été intégrées dans notre écosystème de manière à ce qu'on puisse protéger au maximum tous nos collaborateurs. Le port du masque est obligatoire. On fait des piqûres de rappel systématiques, voire quotidiennes, auprès de nos collaborateurs pour qu'ils respectent non seulement ces mesures barrières à l'intérieur de notre structure, mais également en dehors du site de production. Et on insiste là-dessus parce qu'il faut se protéger et protéger les autres. Donc aujourd'hui, toutes ces mesures prises ensemble concourent justement à assurer cette continuité opérationnelle. Nous n'avons pas connu de rupture en tant que telle. Nos clients en sont satisfaits d'ailleurs. Ils ont été très surpris de voir qu'en si peu de temps, on ait pu déployer pratiquement 10 000 collaborateurs en télétravail. Ce n'est pas chose aisée à faire. Vous d'ailleurs, en tant qu'opérateur, vous savez quelles sont les difficultés auxquelles on peut être confronté pour déployer un tel système. Donc aujourd'hui, priorité a été donnée, comme je l'ai dit, à la santé des collaborateurs. Deuxièmement, la continuité de service vis-à-vis de nos clients donneurs d'ordre et notamment tout ce qui est OIV, organisation d'intérêt vital. Ça passe par d'ailleurs aussi les telcos. Et autre chose également de très important, c'est que au niveau du télétravail, chacun de nos collaborateurs travaille exactement dans les mêmes conditions que s'il était sur site et ils agissent tous selon les valeurs que sont les nôtres. Donc, il n'y a pas d'écart dans le comportement. On ne le tolère d'ailleurs pas, parce qu'ils se doivent également de travailler dans des conditions qui sont les mêmes que celles que vous avez sur site aujourd'hui. Donc, en gros, voilà ce que je pourrais vous répondre sur la question que vous m'avez posée. Et puis, je pense qu'on verra d'autres aspects plus tard.
Merci Jean-Yves. Je notais tellement, j'ai essayé de retenir les points parce que ton intervention m'a permis d'avoir, je crois, permis à l'ensemble des participants d'avoir une lecture un peu plus approfondie sur tout ce que ça demande de pouvoir garder sa force de travail opérationnelle pour continuer de donner les services aux clients que l'entreprise a sur plusieurs territoires, avec vraiment la complexité de mettre des équipes nombreuses en télétravail. Avec la technologie d'aujourd'hui, ça peut paraître évident, mais ce n'est pas facile à faire. Et vraiment, je crois que je peux dire félicitations pour avoir pu avoir mis autant de personnes en télétravail et que les clients ne ressentent pas l'effet. Ce n'est pas évident. Et aussi, je tiens peut-être c'est encourageant d'entendre que ce soit toi, Jean-Yves, ou bien les autres patrons en ligne. Je crois que c'est le cas, je sais que c'est le cas chez Citi, chez Gordon, comme chez MTN, chez Ebenezer. Cet effort que les entreprises, malgré la crise, font pour garder au maximum possible leurs collaborateurs et essayer parce qu'on comprend le contexte, d'éviter qu'ils ne soient impactés par la crise, parce qu'on connaît les difficultés qu'il y a. Et malgré tout ça, c'est pas évident et c'est bien de montrer ces difficultés, de montrer comment on peut les traverser. Merci Jean-Yves. Cela me permet de, justement, c'est difficile, mais on est déjà à 3 mois, plus ou moins, parce qu'on peut dire qu'au Cameroun, la crise a sérieusement, je veux dire, on a sérieusement commencé à prendre des mesures, je crois que ça tournait autour de début mars. On est déjà à 3 mois dans la crise. Je crois que c'est Ebenezer qui disait we don't know yet. We were expecting that it will end in June. Now we don't know. I mean, because it is increasing. At a point of time, Cameroon was one in the highest in the world in terms of case increasing, and you can see the impact on the economy is still there. So how do you see, how can we see getting the way out of this crisis, especially for your enterprises, or let's say in general? Is there a way out of it? What will it be? How will next year look like? How will the end of year look like? You know, a lot of people might think, okay, I'll just hold on for now. My business will resume in September, or my kids are home now, but they will go in school in September. I mean, what will happen? Will next year be different? Will business closes? What will happen? So I'll probably, let me start in a different order this time. I will probably start with Gordon, just to get your view, and then I will follow up. So what's your view on getting out of this crisis,
Okay.
Gordon?
Thanks, Gerard. Post-crisis, it seems like Yves said earlier, we thought by June, July it would be over, but at this point in time, my view is that we are in for a very long haul, right? And I think it goes in line with some of the things that we've been reading. And number one, we're still trying to figure out how this thing gets transmitted with some degree of certainty. Number two, there is no treatment for it, right? There is no known treatment for it at this particular point in time. So actually, post-crisis to me is a long ways out. And definitely something that is very difficult at this particular point to imagine. The bigger question is how would all of this impact? There's no treatment, so how do we live our lives? What is the new normal, as we say? What will be the new normal? Today we're talking about working from home or télétravail, as was said earlier. The bigger question is that the new normal? Can you really run a bank or run a telecom company from home? A lot of us are becoming too comfortable working from home today, and actually, it's proven that you can actually you can still run a bank from home, right? You can still do that. But how effective that would be? It's a very difficult question to answer at this particular point in time. So we are going to relook at our business. We're going to plan and anticipate and do all those things. But I think for me, some of the things that we've been doing at Citi is, like I said, we've been reaching out, trying to understand the client's needs, but also looking at how do we position ourselves, looking at the how would tomorrow look like, right? We've seen the central bank talk about pushing for digitization. We've seen the central bank talking about going to GMAC and trying to make sure that we move from paper, from coins, from currency to digital. We should. I think one of the things that we are doing at Citi is we're starting to imagine the future. We don't know when that future would be, but it's like, but we need to prepare for it, right? It's not the new normal. The new normal will definitely be very different from what it is today. How do we stop sending a coursier from MTN to Citibank to drop papers? Why can't we, again, through data, scan those documents and send them to Citi without somebody walking all over Douala to move the paper back and forth? How do you sit in your apartment and open your account at Citi without coming to Citi, etc., etc.? And obviously, with that, a lot of cyber security elements, cyber security things needs to be put into account. So while the future is, while from a time frame point of view is very difficult to actually anticipate, I think that the businesses that actually survive this crisis, we've seen the airlines industry, right? The airlines industry is going to take a long time for them to come back, right? Well, because a lot of us are not going to go on that plane because we don't know what when we come out of the next airport, whether we're going to be quarantined or what we're going to pick up in the plane. So it's going to take a while for businesses like that to come in. The bigger question is, what are some of those businesses today that would pick up after this? You know, what do you need to start doing today to make sure that when this thing is over, you are part of that new economy? You are part of that new wave that actually picks up the local economy. And I think in our setting, again, we've seen we are a little bit slow, to be honest with you, from a regulatory point of view. But recently, we've seen a lot of push from the governor of the central bank, from the Secretary General of COBA, to try and move a lot of this digital elements through. So I'm hoping that, while I can't tell you when this thing will be over, but I'm definitely hoping that we'll see a lot of good changes in our local economy, where that would be positive for all of our businesses, and hopefully bring in new businesses into the fold.
Yes, I totally align. Thank you for that view, Gordon. The way is, there is a new, there will be, I mean, this crisis put enterprises and everybody in that position. There will be probably a new way of working, but how do you adapt to that? What do you do to be sure that you are part of that new economy? How do you survive this crisis to make sure that you will be there? And the good news in what you said is, actually, if you survive this period, if your business survives this period, with all the changes you will do, you'll probably be more strong, you'll probably be more able to cope in the new way of things, or new economy that will happen, especially in some sectors like the airline industry, the tourist industry, stuff like that. So I really appreciate and really align with that feedback. So Ebi, from your view, so, you know, how do you see it going forward?
Justice, look, the point is this, you know, I believe every business needs to be prudent, because when you don't really have a time frame, you need to be prudent in the way you do things. But one of the good things that this crisis has brought is that it's a behavioral change. And this behavioral change is critical. You know, there are certain things we do today. If 6 months ago, 1 year ago, you tell people will give you yourself complaints to say, no, I have to draw. But today, you do meetings, you don't need to go to Yaoundé, you do it virtually. And you realize that the virtual products are also improving because they understand this is a new way of work, you know. And today, I call it a virtual office. And as we build ourselves into this, you know, as MTN, we've started asking ourselves some of our processes, some of the way we are doing things. How do we ensure that we take this as the opportunity of the way to work, to make the company more efficient, you know, and to be able to address in a faster time needs of clients? Gordon was saying that why should someone come to the bank and not just do it digitally, you know? The same, you know, the regulatory, there's an opportunity for the regulatory to start looking at different perspectives. I was talking to a few people last week, and I said, look, some of the downside where digitalization, Cameroon has been talking about digitalization, but what COVID is doing is bringing fast forward digitalization. And the government needs to bring fast forward its whole policy surrounding driving digitalization. And you can't drive digitalization if you don't drive the enablers. You know, take for example, when schools were closed, you have online classes. How many families who has 4 children who have to do online classes concurrently, how many families can provide 4 computers? The government needs to start looking at thinking to say, look, I remember when I was in Côte d'Ivoire, the government of Côte d'Ivoire removed custom duty, removed VAT on those things. It makes a massive change. So we may be putting all these initiatives, the regulatory saying we want to drive, but the government has a big role to play to ensure that the digitalization really drives forward, which will benefit the economy. There's no, in no small measure, it's going to benefit the economy. And skills will change. At the end of this, there are some companies, the way they exist today, if they don't adapt and change, then they'll just go under the water. There's no way. For example, if you look at airline business, all those doing ticketing. Today, everybody's thinking and saying, guys, I don't want to use ticket because you know how COVID spread. Everything needs to be online. You register online, you go, it's going to be facial. So every sector needs to re-examine what are the opportunities and what are the lessons we are learning from COVID and adapt its business to that frame. Again, it's about monitoring. It's about ensuring that you only do what you think is essential at this time. You don't get yourself involved because you want to leave this crisis with a strong financial position and not a weak financial position. The time frame is unknown. We don't know when the vaccines will be out, and when the vaccines even come out, I don't think I would like to be one of the first people to take the vaccine because nobody knows what are going to be the consequences. Because, so it creates a lot of uncertainty. The planes may start, nobody will go there, Today, nobody wants to travel. Everybody is so conscious, doesn't want to travel. We'll say, look, why don't you do Teams? Why don't you do Zoom? Even our social meetings are now done on Zoom. And then you start seeing the massive opportunity that it creates. And for a company like MTN, what it does is to say, where do we put our money? We need to fish where the fish are. Today, where's the fish? The fish is on digital. So we need to see how we orientate our business to ensure we have the right network, geographically spread to be able to address the increased traffic. But again, the government needs to support us to ensure that the customers themselves, will be able to afford the enablers, which are the computers, the smartphones, by removing custom duty, by removing VAT for a period. We're not saying it's going to be forever, but then everybody is going to be a win-win situation for everybody. So in a nutshell, we can't do it alone. It's got to do with the regulators, the government, policymakers, as well as captains of industry to work together to ensure that we benefit from the opportunities COVID could bring, which could transform the business. But one of the big things that is making me to be more afraid is the fact that, the problem is that some people have lost their jobs and some businesses have really come down. Today, they are living on their savings. The longer this crisis lasts, the more difficult the economic crisis is going to be. And that is going to impact almost everyone. Because when the purchasing power goes down, even our business will going to be impacted massively. So the reason why we need to be very prudent. And that's the biggest fear in terms of not knowing the time frame when people will start making money again, or when there will be opportunities for people to come back to work. Some people will never come back to work except they retrain. And that's where, ourselves as a business, through our foundation, we need to be thinking of how do we support in terms of retraining people into different skills. Your foundation is Citi, government. We need to do all those things. So it's a scary thing when we don't know a time frame. But we need to prepare for when the crisis ends, we don't get cut out, to make sure that we are ready when the crisis ends. We are ready to take the advantage of the opportunities that will be available.
Yes, really, thank you. One of the concepts of this idea of virtual office is really important also in that new way. I mean, what Gordon was saying previously, that new way of working, you need to know that, guys, I may not go back to the office very soon. I may have to have a different way of working. Si je suis habitué à faire une mission Douala Yaoundé à moindre réunion, ça risque de changer parce que maintenant on peut les faire sur Microsoft Teams comme ce qu'on utilise en ce moment et pas forcément toujours se mettre en mission. Donc il y a cette nouvelle façon de travailler. And one point important, as you said, is what keeps you awake is the fact that the longer the crisis is taking, it will be more difficult for businesses to resume. It will have a bigger impact also on people because it will be more difficult. So we really have to be prudent, and business also needs to have that. You have to adapt to prepare the future, but you also need to be prudent. So that is really interesting, and it allows me to ask probably to Jean-Yves sa lecture aussi, et peut-être Jean-Yves, comme ça va nous permettre d'embrayer sur, si tu as, en donnant ta lecture de comment on va sortir, comment tu vois la sortie de crise, s'il y a une chose que tu souhaiterais que les participants retiennent, une chose peut-être que les autres patrons d'entreprise ou les autres panélistes retiennent, les autres participants retiennent de comment ils peuvent gérer leur activité dans ces crises, ce serait quoi? Donc, tu as vu de la sortie de la crise, et puis, s'il te plaît, s'il y a une chose que nous devions retenir, ce serait quoi de ton point de vue? Merci. Jean-Yves.
Oui, merci Franck. Je pense, pour ce qui est de notre cas, et qu'on pourrait d'ailleurs généraliser, hein, notre industrie étant particulière, je pense que le télétravail n'est plus chose exceptionnelle aujourd'hui. Comme on dit, nous sommes déjà demain, on n'est plus hier. Et le télétravail est déjà inscrit dans la normalité. Ce n'est plus une situation exceptionnelle. Il faut qu'on se réinvente et qu'on réinvente également la façon d'accompagner nos collaborateurs de manière à les rendre plus autonomes, plus responsables et ne pas les laisser seuls face à leur redevabilité à l'organisation. En présentiel comme en télétravail, le leitmotiv de l'organisation réinventée, c'est aussi d'accompagner chacun dans cette transmutation pour le guider, le mener vers une forme de leadership et d'empowerment, à mon sens. Donc aujourd'hui, cette crise, ce que moi je pourrais retenir de la crise, c'est que elle est arrivée de manière brutale, mais nous a permis de nous remettre en question et de revoir notre modèle de fonctionnement de manière générale. Je n'inscris pas cette crise aujourd'hui comme étant une fatalité, mais plutôt comme une opportunité. Une opportunité pourquoi? En vous inscrivant dans le télétravail, dans la virtualisation, comme le disait Ebenezer tout à l'heure, vous êtes en mesure aujourd'hui de capitaliser sur cette crise. Et comment? Si vous passez par la virtualisation, vous êtes en mesure de doubler, de tripler vos capacités de travail. Cela est possible. De donner plus d'opportunités à la jeunesse pour de l'emploi. Il y en a dans notre secteur. Et aujourd'hui, si vous voulez, même financièrement et économiquement, si vous passez par la virtualisation, vos coûts d'investissement peuvent être réduits de moitié, de plus que la moitié, justement, si vous êtes appelé à grandir. Et ça, il faudrait également considérer cela comme étant une opportunité pour tout le monde. C'est également une opportunité pour nos collaborateurs qui ne sont plus soumis à certaines choses. Supposez que vous avez un collaborateur qui habite à des kilomètres de son lieu de travail, qui doit se réveiller à 4 heures du matin pour rejoindre son service à 7h30. Avec le télétravail, c'est une peine en moins. Donc la pénibilité du travail est sensiblement réduite avec le télétravail aujourd'hui. Donc pour moi, ce que je pourrais vous dire, ce que je retiens de ce que nous avons pu échanger aujourd'hui, c'est que cette crise, certes, a affecté tous les secteurs de l'économie. On a beaucoup parlé du secteur aéronautique que je connais également très bien, mais c'est l'ensemble des économies qui ont été affectées. Mais il faudrait, pour certains secteurs, comme les telcos, comme les services, etc., repenser la manière de travailler et considérer cette crise du Covid-19 comme étant une opportunité, comme étant quelque chose qui nous permette de nous remettre en question, d'être plus inventifs et de développer davantage nos secteurs. C'est une véritable opportunité, cette crise aujourd'hui. Voilà en 2 mots ce que je pourrais vous dire par rapport à ce que je retiens de la crise en question. Je suis de nature très optimiste et je pense que cette crise, et au vu des différentes mesures et des opportunités qui nous ont été offertes, nous permettra de contrecarrer justement les côtés négatifs de la crise et de voir les choses de manière positive pour l'avenir. Voilà.
Merci Jean-Yves. Se réinventer, se réinventer, se réinventer et opportunité. Le mot-clé, opportunité. Oui, c'est une crise, mais il y a derrière des opportunités. Avec tout ce qui a été dit, il faut envisager la possibilité de se transformer et de saisir les opportunités, comme Gordon disait tout à l'heure, pour sortir de la crise encore plus fort et pouvoir s'adapter à la nouvelle économie. Et sur ce, donc, juste avant de redonner la parole à Gordon pour aussi la même question, une chose que les participants devront retenir d'après lui, je voulais juste rappeler, poser des questions aux participants, poser des questions dans le chat. On a légèrement dépassé le temps, donc on va prendre juste quelques questions tout à l'heure. S'il vous plaît, posez-les dans le chat et on va les choisir. So, just like Gordon, please, if there is one thing, you know, Jean-Yves said, reinventing, opportunity, you have to do that. He sees it as an opportunity. Is positive thinking, positive mindset. So what's your own takeaway? One thing that you think everybody should remind from this discussion?
I think it goes along the same lines. We should never waste a crisis, right? They say never waste a good crisis. So take advantage of the crisis. Try to see how you reposition yourself, right? It's really just a hiccup. Things would actually get better soon. But the point is, you need to be ready. You absolutely need to be ready for when things get better, right? So stay close to your clients. Stay close to your customers. Listen to your clients. Listen to your customers, and actually hear them, right? And make sure you actually hear them. Understand what they're actually telling you. I think sometimes we listen, but we really don't hear what the other person is saying. I think this is the time when we should be doing a lot of listening. We should be looking at our paradigms and our business structures and making sure that we are preparing for the aftermath. So,
thanks a lot, Gordon. I mean, let's stay close to our customer and not only listening, but hear what they say. Really stay close to what they say and try, in line with what was said before, try to adapt yourself to be able to serve them during the crisis and even after. So, Ebenezer, I mean, your own takeaway for the whole panelists. You're muted, Ebi, sorry.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah.
I just want to quote Charles Darwin. He says, look, it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. It sums it. The company that is able to respond to change in the sense that to be able to see the opportunities there, to prepare themselves, will be the company that will reap the biggest at the end of the crisis. You know, Jean says he is looking at the opportunity. For his business, it's a massive opportunity, you know, because it may reduce the floor of space he's using. It's going to have a big impact on his rentals. You understand? So each one of us needs to look at this crisis and say, what opportunity is bringing for us? For us, it may reduce the amount of traveling we do. You reduce per diem, you reduce international travel, training opportunities, different things. So it's something we need to respond to this change. And if we really want to benefit from it, every company needs to look and see, how do I respond to the crisis coming in so that I get myself well prepared? So that's the big take I have from this. I'm going to leave.
Yeah, really, really thank you for that quote, AB. Charles Darwin said it all. You have to be responsive to change to be able to survive, not only be strong, you know, adapt and adapt. So guys, really, I mean, there was so much. I was trying even to take note of one of you for myself, because, I mean, you said so many things interesting. I'm sure it's the same feeling for the whole participant. As you have seen, we were supposed to have closed it at 5, but I mean, I could not interrupt you because, I mean, the content of what you were saying was so instructive for everybody. So we'll just try in the next 15 minutes only to get a few questions, and then you can we'll select the few questions, and then you'll be able to contribute. This is the time where our participants can actually ask questions if they need more clarity on some of the elements. Then we will close. So I will take the first one, if you allow me. Is from Jean Lebel. Jean Lebel, Jean Lebel is CEO of Blue Ocean Group. Jean Lebel is asking, okay, his question is more, okay, is it actually the time to take critical decision? I mean, his question is more around the strategy. Is it time to take critical decision? Is it time to rethink strategy? Or he says, are we only in this period to do a kind of tactical approach of business readjustment? Or is actually time to, you know, to have a look at all? Since you don't have, because he says you don't have all the information to foresee the new normal. So he's saying he thinks we can manage this outbreak as a signal to readjust and to move to the new normal. So his question is more for all panelists, and I will let any of you want to take the floor. Is it time to take the critical decision? Is this the time to review a strategy, or just be kind of tactical? I keep my strategy, but I try to just manage one or two things. I don't know who
if I could attempt response, I think you have to do both. The tactical one, it's got to do with what is existing today. You know, you need to be able to adjust your business to be able to survive. But you need to think strategically also. You know, a lot of discussion has been talked about the opportunities that this may come with, and to prepare. You can't think of the opportunities and prepare if you don't think strategically. So you need to do both. You need to think tactically to see what you do in the immediate to ensure that your business is protected. But you think strategically to see how will my business change at the end of the day, and I start preparing for that. I start having those things, those thoughts. So it's you need to do both, because if you don't think strategically, then you're not able to prepare for the opportunities that this may bring about. You know, and if you don't think tactically, you may end up the crisis not having a business. No. So I'll take, for example, if you're someone, you know, take for example, this is the time you need to do a lot of digital advertising, digital marketing. You know, because you can't more of TV, more of digital, social media, because that's where people go a lot these days, and it's more relevant in this context. So those are some of things as a business you need to do, but strategically you need to see how does this going to impact my business in future, you know.
Yep, really, Ebi, I think I fully agree with you. I don't know if Gordon, Jai want to add something, but I think Ebi said everything. Gordon, anything to add is fine. Yeah.
No, I think it's Ebi said it. It's a marathon you're running, right? So you need to make sure that you're constantly looking ahead and making sure that you can get there. So you need to be tactical. You need to survive today, and you need to make sure that you're ready for tomorrow.
Strategy for tomorrow. Yeah, right. Jean-Yves, j'assume que tu es aligné avec ce qui a été dit.
Je suis aligné et je reviendrai sur ce que j'ai dit. On n'est plus hier, on n'est pas aujourd'hui, on est déjà demain. On va vers une virtualisation de la vie. On est obligé aujourd'hui d'anticiper en permanence et surtout de relever tout ce qui a pu être fait durant une crise de cette envergure-là. Et je pense que la proactivité, l'anticipation, c'est également ça notre rôle en tant que manager. Il faut anticiper sur les événements à venir. Et avoir vécu une telle crise, la vivre encore aujourd'hui, nous ouvre, et j'insiste là-dessus, un tas d'opportunités. Si une crise pareille arrivait à se répéter, on est outillé aujourd'hui pour le faire. C'est maintenant qu'il faut se préparer. C'est maintenant qu'il faut se préparer, c'est pas demain. Il faut anticiper. Et je suis en phase avec ce que disait Ebenezer sur la partie tactique et stratégique. Il faut voir les choses à long terme, il faut se servir des expériences vécues et il faut se servir des opportunités pour affronter l'avenir. Le monde évolue de manière ultra rapide. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes tous connectés, donc on n'a pas le droit, mais alors pas le droit de rester à quai alors que le train est déjà en marche pour les autres. Voilà ce que je peux ajouter à ce que disait Ebenezer.
Perfectly right. Guys, the train has left, le train a déjà laissé la gare. Où vous y êtes, où vous n'allez pas vous retrouver à l'arrivée, please. Alors, il y a plusieurs questions de plusieurs participants, mais qui tournent autour de la même thématique, qui est une thématique qui, je crois qu'elle va faire l'objet d'une masterclass dédiée, mais je crois que c'est important en tant que manager, il y a beaucoup de patrons d'entreprise, que vous puissiez nous donner un aperçu de votre vue là-dessus. C'est autour de la productivité des employés pendant la crise. Donc, on a parlé de téléworking et autres. So, but the question is around how do you, what's the most efficient way you think is, or what can you recommend to anybody to put in place to ensure the productivity of employees during this period continues to stay? How do you track it? How do you make it happen? I mean, je vois plusieurs questions juste pour dire, monsieur, dame Leslie, je crois que c'est monsieur, plusieurs personnes ont posé la question, voilà le thème. How do you ensure productivity during this period? If you are in teleworking, not in teleworking, for salespeople, they are not selling, customers are saying suspend this, they are not, how do you ensure productivity? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to start and then the other?
Look, you see, you know, the whole teleworking, when it started, the first question is how do you track performance? You know, because as I said, it's a behavioral change, you know. We've been working from home, not that we've not been working from, but not in a structured way, the way we work today, where, you know, best brand. So from us in MTN, you know, we have the supervisors. To us, it's about the outcome, you know. There are two sets of people, the people who have to be, there are some people who can't do teleworking, they have to work from the office, so it's business as usual for them. But the people who are doing teleworking, it's about monitoring and ensuring that you get results. So you don't monitor, you don't performance manage people the way you performance manage when they're in the office. Now you performance manage output. So it's a productivity at the end that you're going to performance manage. But again, we all are learning because there's a new way of doing business. So it's all of us, we are continuously learning. You know, you call someone in a meeting, if the person doing working out doesn't appear in the meeting, he needs to explain why he's not appearing in the meeting because he's expected to be in the office. Yeah. So, you know, and so there's a lot of tolerance, and at the same time, you know, there's a lot of awareness to people to understand that, look, the COVID crisis has not removed your objective that the company must attain. So that objective is a non-negotiable thing. The only thing what the COVID crisis has done, it has just made us to rethink the way we approach that objective. So this the debate you continuously have engaging, you know, you have meetings, you know, Gordon spoke about doing town hall, the same with us. We do regular meetings with our teams. Nothing has changed. It's all that everything has now moved virtually. So that's it. The focus is more on output as opposed to the classic way we managed before.
Yeah. What about you, Gordon? How do you? I mean, I'm fully aligned with what Ebi said, but how did you manage, or how are you managing, or how do you? What can you advise people to manage productivity during this period?
I think it's actually in line, right? It's more how effective you are at the end of the day. It's output. Your KPIs don't change. The only difference here is that you may have if you want to wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, that's your problem. And if you want to work at 3 a.m. in the morning, that's your problem. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, you need to do A, B, or C, and that's what I'm going to measure you on, right? So we have that, like, I mean, working from home it's nice, it's good, but you need to be very disciplined to be successful at working from home, right? There's a discipline that comes with it. And sometimes people forget, and when you forget that then you get into trouble. Again, there are expectations, there are outputs, there are performance indicators that we need to look at the end of the month, and you have the liberty to do them when and if when you decide to do them. But the question for me is, when I need to measure it, I want it done. So you figure out how you get it done.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, just to be more practical to the participant who asked the question, management by objective. You know, if you are digital, you are on the office. Today is no more the point. You just need to achieve it, either daily, weekly, or monthly. You have to manage it. J'imagine que c'est la même chose chez toi, Jean-Yves. Avec 10 000 personnes,
tout à fait.
Comment tu monitores?
Tout à fait. Bah, écoute, notre secteur est assez particulier. On a toujours monitoré les performances au travers de différents KPI de nos collaborateurs. Qu'ils soient in-site ou en télétravail, nous avons aujourd'hui des outils qui nous permettent de monitorer, de contrôler les différentes performances de nos collaborateurs. C'est vrai qu'au démarrage, il peut y avoir déviance, certaines personnes peuvent faire étalage de désinvolture ou quoi que ce soit, mais ils sont rappelés à l'ordre. Et comme le disait tout à l'heure, at the end of the day, ce sont les résultats à la fin du mois qu'on regarde, et c'est sur ça que les collaborateurs sont jugés. Donc, le collaborateur qui est en télétravail doit se mettre en tête une chose essentielle. Il est chez lui, mais il doit travailler comme s'il était sur le site. Les conditions sont les mêmes, à la seule différence qu'il n'est pas sur son lieu opérationnel, mais il est à domicile. Les règles sont les mêmes, les objectifs sont les mêmes, les KPI sont les mêmes, le mode opératoire est le même, donc il devrait être aussi productif qu'il ne l'est sur site quand il est en télétravail. Ça, ce n'est même pas négociable. Et nous avons tous les outils nécessaires qui nous permettent de vérifier les performances de nos collaborateurs d'heure en heure, et même toutes les 30 minutes. Donc, il y a un suivi, ils sont encadrés par des team leaders, des coordinateurs, des BU managers, qui regardent toutes les 30 minutes les performances de chacun des collaborateurs de manière individuelle. Donc, il sera très difficile pour le collaborateur en télétravail d'être en déviance par rapport à celui qui est sur site. Pourquoi? Parce que le système de monitoring est le même pour tous.
Ok, oui, vraiment, je crois qu'on peut pas être plus aligné. Le principe est là, c'est l'objectif qui compte. En plus, si l'organisation a des outils qui permettent, comme dans le cas d'INTELCIA, d'avoir des outils qui permettent de s'assurer qu'effectivement l'employé travaille et la chaîne de travail s'adapte à ce nouveau paradigme, pour être sûr qu'on monitore, les superviseurs, les managers doivent vérifier l'effectivité de la production, de ce qui est attendu à la fin de la journée, à la fin de la semaine ou à la fin du mois. I think we cannot be more aligned than that. So I will take just one last question and we'll just we'll close there. So just for the panelists to know, there are a lot of contributions, and I will be sorry, I can't give the floor to all of those contributions because it will take us more time, but there are a lot of contributions around just going in line to what the panelists just said. You know, customer is at the center. You have to adapt yourself. You need to review your digital marketing, digital customer care. You need to adapt to that. And I really think Mr. Elias Sobotamo, for example, who shared a long contribution. Please, we'll come back to you later on. Thanks for your contribution and all the others. So, is there one last question that I saw? No, again, it's around the productivity again. So it's mostly around how do you tactically manage the effective, but I think we all said it. You need to set up the objective, you review your work chain, and you make sure people work. Your office don't change. You are now in a virtual office, and you just need to get your conclusion. So that said, please, I will again apologize to the participant. For time's sake, we can't open the floor for physical, visual interaction with everybody. Otherwise, we will spend the night here. But we will take all your contribution. We'll come back and answer to some of them. We'll share it with the panelists. On this note, AB, really, I would like to thank you, AB, Jean-Yves, and Gordon, for the time you took. It was planned for an hour. We are here because of the interesting discussion for more than an hour and a half. You have broke, I need to announce to you, you have broke the record of the masterclass participation, because at the point of time we were close to 200 participants. I was afraid because at 250, I think the tool may have had some issues, but fortunately we were close to 200. So really thank you for your time. And you have made, it was really interesting discussion, and that's why people stayed despite we spent the time. I don't know, AB, as the host of this session, do you have a closing word? And that will be it.
Thank you, Frank. I just want to thank Jean-Yves and Gordon for taking time to support us in what we've done to the community. I think it's very essential, and I think we hope that some of the discussions we've had will help some people to adjust the way they do their business to improve it, because at the end of the day, that's the whole objective about where it's about trying to share best practices. The more we do this best practice sharing, the more others we're going to learn from one another. And I just want to thank all the participants who logged in for the questions. Just as Gordon said, and Gerard said, look, we are sorry, of time constraint, but we believe there will be other occasion where you're going to have the opportunity, your questions is going to be responded to. Thank you, Frank. Thank you and your team, Thierry, Minjo, and the others for organizing this wonderful event. And we see you next week, Thursday, for another masterclass. Thank you very much, all of you. Thanks.
Thank all of you. Thierry, une disposition pratique à mentionner ou ça va?
Non, je pense que c'est bon. Hein. Je pense que vous avez tout dit. Yves a très bien compris.
OK.
Juste rappeler que la semaine prochaine, nous aurons des discussions également, mais ça va concerner notamment la gestion des ressources humaines sur la masterclass. Donc, nous invitons les participants à être là nombreux et échanger encore davantage dessus.
Et demain, les demo sessions.
Thank you. Tomorrow we have demo session also. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Merci d'avoir attendu. Merci.